situation. But from one strike to another, this time round, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, GUTA, turned around. Well, it says that its members will be closing shops in the nation's capital from Tuesday. GUTA is protesting what it says are exorbitant taxes by government. Now, remember, last week there was a similar action in the Central Business District of Kumasi. Well, we've been joined by President of GUTA, Dr. Obing, in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. I remember when we were having that conversation on the Kumasi situation, you mentioned that there was a bigger one coming.
Yeah.
And your threat is becoming, is getting closer by the day. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Just help us understand. Is it a similar situation in Kumasi you're protesting about?
Yeah, first of all, we do not issue threats. If you look at the trading community, we are elderly people and all that, and we are very matured on our demands and all that. So it's something that is definite.
Right.
So we are not issuing any threat. It's not.
So you are closing your shops tomorrow?
We are closing. No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we are doing the declaration.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow is when, because before you close your shops, you have to let everybody know why you are doing so. Okay. And so we will declare and let the whole world know why we are undertaking such an action tomorrow at the International Conference Center. Yeah, that's what we are doing. But if you recall, we wanted to close our shops maybe 2 months ago because of the depreciation of the cedi. Because at that time, the dollar has hit 10 Ghana cedis, and it was scary then. But at that time, because we never dreamt that the dollar will reach that with that rate, the speed at which it went. So we wanted to undertake this closure of shops till Council of State prevailed or intervened. And then we have to give our suggestions and our petition and everything to them, and the committee was set for us, even though we have challenges with the authorities that will have to even come to the committee. That's why at this stage...
But they're not coming for the meetings?
They came at a point, and then later, almost all of them say, because of IMF, we have engaged, we are doing meetings and all that, and then the dollar have gone up to 12.5. So you are telling me if it has a link with the Kumasi one. Yes, it has a link, but the Kumasi one assumed the VAT problem dimension. And then we are talking about the larger economic problem, especially the interest rate, which have gone up beyond 35%. That's the commercial lending rate. And then the exchange rate, which have eroded our capital of over 50%.
Interesting. We just got off the phone with Professor Ransford Jampo, who speaks for UTAG, University of Ghana branch. He clearly, you could tell from his voice that UTAG feels highly disrespected by the posture of government and how it has handled its issue over time. Is that the same sentiment you share? Does GUTA feel disrespected by government when it comes to dealing with your petitions and your suggestions? Yeah,
what would determine is action. So we have been called upon by Council of State, and then Council of State is intervening. We have given our suggestions and everything, and then we have to engage authorities so that the suggestions, because we did not only go with problems, but we also went there to suggest on things that when we do will help salvage the economy at large.
Right.
And that they were able to engage at a point, but it hasn't been conclusive. That's why we are here. So the inference is on the people of Ghana.
Why hasn't it been conclusive? Because of the IMF engagement?
At a point, everybody was saying IMF is here and we are going, and but at least it's on a whole institution. So if one person is going, others can be there. So it shows that there's no sense of urgency in the whole thing. And that's why we have to give a pinch
So this is the Ministry of Finance we're talking about.
Different, because the GIPC, Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Trade, because we have to use investment laws to solve most of these problems. So Ministry of Trade was very much involved in this with GIPC, Ministry of Finance itself, because of the interest rates, the Bank of Ghana and all that. So the institutions involved were even sometimes the national security per some of the information that we gave and all that. Okay. So we needed all these people around, because the nation building is not just for the people who are governing us. It's a whole. We are also part of the general stakeholders, and that whatever thing that we also bring to bear should be treated if we want solution to it. For me, I would say that I don't see sense of urgency in the whole thing.
Okay, so help me understand sense of urgency in dealing with your issue as GUTA or the general economic issue, because we know the government is engaging the IMF. In fact, there have been a couple of interventions government has brought in to try to stabilize the cedi. It didn't work. We know about that. We know that they've gone after what we call black market forex traders and those who are trading forex illegally. They've gone after them. We've seen videos. Government is going to the IMF. We are told that we should expect a deal by close of the year. In fact, the finance minister is confident that by November we should be able to reach an agreement. The experts say that's impossible considering the bureaucracies and all that. So what for you will communicate urgency apart from what government has been working on?
So there's something fundamentally wrong in the system that if you do not treat it and make it as a matter of urgency, then no matter or regardless of the amount that IMF will bring to bear, it's going to be swallowed by patterns, highness, and voters in the system. And that's what we wanted to bring to bear.
What's that fundamental thing? Do you mind sharing with us?
Yeah, the demand of our limited forest is so huge. Because let's say that we have been getting balance of trade surplus for the past 3 or 4 years consecutively. So our city should have gained strength because we have more supply than, yes, but that's not to be. But it's because the demand of the limited supply of dollar or exchange rate that we have is so huge, and that's what we have to identify why. And the why is because what we have made our investment laws to give everything over to the foreigners is what is causing the problem.
When you say give everything to the foreigner, what do you mean?
Yeah, we seek foreign direct investment, isn't it? But when you are doing that, you do it in a manner that you do not give all the juiciest part of the economy also to them whole, without us having any retention, without us having any stake in whatever, because it's never done in most serious economies. That's where you have your juiciest part of the economy, everything is given whole because we say that we want to get foreign direct investment.
I would like you to help us with examples. When you say juiciest parts of the economy given to foreigners, can you give us examples?
Yeah, we have a Vodafone for ourselves, and we've given it all to foreigners. We didn't even know that it controls the bulk of resources, money these days, communication. Look at other communication industries that we have. What is at stake there? And they control the bulk of the resources in this country. And the investment laws also allow them 100% repatriation of whatever their gain is. Then let's talk about the banking sector. We don't have, what is the local stake in it? Our local banks and all that have all gone except about 4. And all of them belong to the foreign banks who are taking a chunk. Look at the profits that turns out every year by these banks. And they are taking a whole. Because, you see, some of these banks came here because their countries have put a cap on interest on their countries. And so most of them they have a limited space to operate and get profit. But because Ghana, we've left everything open-ended, There's no cap for interest, and then it's unlimited. They give this, and they all came to Ghana to make the best profits that they can. And they take it whole also and repatriate it to their home countries. Let's say the investment law, how it is structured. The investment law is only made so that if you want to go into trading, you only have to show evidence of 1 million worth of goods. And pre-so you have the certificate to trade. So a China mall, for instance, can just show evidence of goods of 1 million and get certificate, and then doors are open for them to bring millions upon millions of goods dumped here and take the forest.
GUTA seems to have a problem with the involvement of Chinese in the retail sector.
No, they are taking it up. We have to guide them. We have to do the right thing. Nations are built around laws. If you do not use laws to direct the so-called investment, the abuse that most of these investors are giving to us is so much. For instance, they bring the goods and then they take the forest. Is that what we want? And we are crying because they did not bring correspondent fund. The investment law did not say that you are bringing 1,000 containers of goods this year, and so the 1,000 containers, the value of it is 50 million, and you do not have the money here. You do not take our money, bring the money here, deposit it at Bank of Ghana, and you use it to bring your own goods. But as it were, the front gate is open, and they bring the goods. And when they succeed to bring their China malls and all that, then they start suppressing the locals from getting visa to that destination. So is there a policy of their government?
Okay, so are you telling me as president of GUTA that people who usually will go to China to bring goods to come and sell as Ghanaians are being prevented from doing so?
Especially the new entrants.
Okay.
Because first, it was so very easy to get Chinese visas and all that. This time, it's just like the US and all that. Very difficult to get even these visas, especially for new entrants. And it's because now they have the people who have brought the goods here and they are dumping the goods here. And it's a whole serious thing that we can use if you want to. Because they say that we do excessive importation, isn't it? That's what they normally say. And then we say we agree. And that's why there's a huge demand on the dollar. But then we are also saying that the locals share in this excessive importation, so-called, it's about 15%. Only. The rest is from these foreigners who you have allowed to come into the retail space of our country. So what do you have to do? You have to use the investment laws to direct them to more preferred area of investment, probably manufacturing and then agriculture and the rest, and then contain them from the trading.
Per your submission, the change we hope to see is largely hinged on the change in our laws. But that will happen in Parliament. In your engagement, have you involved Parliament?
Yeah, we are supposed to meet select committee on trade.
Okay.
And that's why I'm expressing my frustration. And that we have yet not gotten them. And the Council of State was trying to do that so that we put it as part of the complaints that GUTA have brought. And that we need to revise our investment. Or if we do not do, we are dead. Nothing that we are doing will see anything. Because now, whatever thing that comes in, about 20 companies only can consume all the money, even if it's 3 billion. Because they have the capacity and they are not here. The commanding highs that was promised us by Nkrumah, our forefathers, has eluded us. We do not have. It has gone to the foreigner and he's taking it all. And that's why. And even we also gave information that the banks that are around the West African, West African sub-region, you know there are banks like that.
Yes.
If the banks are networked so that if you put the money in Nigeria, for instance, where they have another bank, or Benin, for instance, and then the person come to Ghana, he can go to the bank and take his money. So if the person is having challenge with foreign exchange in his country, then he just travel to Ghana, take his money, go to the black market and buy this money and trade in it as commodity, as if we are trading. They buy it bulk, put it in a car and transfer. And these are all the leakages. If we do not look at these things and then seal it.
But that's a money laundering issue, isn't it?
Exactly. But that's also part of the problem that we are facing. And then also we are saying the black market and all that. These black market people, if you do not feed them with job, they will not get it. If you are transacting at the bank, the documentation requirement is so bad, to the extent that they are behaving like they are doing accounting on your work. But yours is to find the authenticity of your transfer, and that you need bill of lading, packing list, or invoice. But then they will have to follow up with accounting and all that. But that one, you leave it with GRA, so that people will not go underground and then go and take the monies from these allegis.
So you're saying people are doing that because, I mean, by the time you're finished with all that with the bank, apart from the bureaucracy, you're also going to get lesser rates than what you get on the black market.
Exactly. And so what I'm saying is that we should have made it possible that the chunk of us, the business community, do transaction through the mainstream banks rather than falling on the black marketeers. And because we put stringent documentary requirements to us, and that if the person cannot provide whatever, then it just go. But then, if
is that not for checks and balances?
Checks and balances, everybody has gotten its checks. The Bank of Ghana do not do the accounting of whatever we do, the duties and all that. It's not in their purview. What they have to do is to just seek the authenticity of your import, your bill of lading, your invoice, and that. And then the accounting work. That's why the customs, they come and do post-clearance audit on us. And they do that. And so for you to have the information of actual volumes of trade that goes on, you have to relax this documentation. People do the transaction through the banks without necessarily going to this black market. I hope you understand my...
Yes, I do. And I get your frustrations. And so let's focus on what is going to happen tomorrow. You've told us that there will be a declaration, but what form will the closure of shops take? Are you closing all your shops totally? And when we say the GUTA members, what exactly are we saying? Because, you know, the business district is very big. What should consumers expect?
Oh, okay. If you have seen our closures before, it's total. So when we say that we are going to close our shops, because GUTA is an umbrella body for trade associations. So we are 68. Recently, we've reached 74 trade associations. And so it's not a membership of one. And so when we are doing this, all the sector associations would have come together and said that no, at the rate at which the city is depreciating, at the rate we are losing our capital and all that, please let's do something. Normally that's what they say. Let's do something. And this, let me give you, for instance, the Spare Parts Dealers Association is so huge, and it's under GUTA. Ghana Electrical Dealers Association is under GUTA. Ghana Second-Hand Clothing Dealers Association. The whole of Ghana is under GUTA. And we have some confectionery dealers and all that. Some of them are regional in character, maybe as a Manchester Traders Association, Progressive Traders Association, Itamali, and all that. And
so we're going to see a total shutdown in Accra of shops?
Total shutdown.
And how long are you hoping to do this?
Yeah, that's what we'll get, because this one is not the leadership that are telling the members that we are going on demonstrations. The members that are demanding that we shut down our shops. So tomorrow, they will tell us the number of days that we have to do, because we do not want to impose anything on them. Finally,
Dr. Bing, we've mentioned dealing with the legal aspect of this. You say that if we don't deal with the fundamentals, even bringing the IMF in, that bailout will not solve the problem.
Exactly.
And so you agree that this is not a short-term solution, or the solution you want will not happen in the shortest term. So in the short term, briefly, what do you expect government to do while we wait for the long-term solution?
Yeah, we have said that cost of doing business is very high, and that the introduction of the VAT 19.5, that's the standard rate, that's what caused the problem in Kumasi and all that. We have to look at it. That one is something that we can do ASAP, that we do the flat rate that we have been doing for 5 years. It's only the migration, and that is also contributing because we were paying a flat rate of 3%, and now we have been migrated to 19.25, 16% difference. Yeah. That's also contributing to the inflation that we are seeing.
Yeah.
And that's the monetary policy rate that the Bank of Ghana keep on increasing. It's not the solution, it's not the panacea to the inflation that we are having. The inflation that we are having is as a result of accumulation of cost, duty payment, cost of freight, where commodity prices haven't gone up, the VAT addition, and then the policy rate that have triggered commercial lending rate. The accumulation of this have caused the inflation. So if they keep on increasing it, they compound the problem. So we are expecting that the monetary policy rate is reversed to a very reasonable level. Because
what will be that reasonable level for you?
Yeah, look at our counterparts. Normally we say that we have global problems. Well, if you have global problems, we are not living in isolation then. It means that our closest neighbors in this global village are Togo, Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast. Are they suffering the same way that we are doing? No. If it is not so, then there's something that we have to do. So we can also look and average how their lending rate, their monetary policy rate is, and then find a reasonable, because at least we are going to trade in the continental free trade area. And if our lending rate is 35% or 37%, we cannot compete with our neighbors who are far lower than us.
Thank you for your time this morning,
Dr. Thank you so much.
Joseph Obeng, really fired up this morning. He's president of GUTA, and we will be following up on this keenly for you. Tomorrow that declaration will happen, and we will give you details of how long this action by GUTA will take place. You're watching the AM show with me, Bernice Abubeidolan. So when we come back, the National Science and Maths quiz is ongoing. We are still at the 1/8 stage. We saw major upsets over the weekend. Dr. Obeng, which high school did you go to?
Opokwari.
Opokwari. Is your school still in OWAS? I don't think they've featured yet, but we'll still keep our eyes.
But my dear, please let me say one important thing.
Okay, quickly,
because we need major thing that is making us go on this demonstration is to also send a distress call to our suppliers. For our suppliers also to know, because we are not able to pay our suppliers timely as we used to do.
Okay, and these are suppliers outside the country.
Outside, so that they will also get the signal that there's something happening in our country, and then when we send these images to them, they can also have some...
it must be really distressing for business.
Very distressing.
Sorry about that, Doc. We'll wrap up this particular conversation and come back with more on the National Science and Maths quiz this day.